Years. Millennia.
Hello. Welcome to the millennia of happiness known as the next hour of Jarviskjir. It feels like... It feeling long is a bad thing. Shit. Hey. You have just gone through the date... Mark the date. You've gone through the gates of this strange little port town of Arsonville. You weren't even sure if this was still here. It wasn't on your maps, but it was on this map that you recovered from Gilwyn's mother's room, hidden away. On the map, it was marked as the Royal Port of Drakenbrow. Here it is marked as Arsonville. As you look around, you see essentially a square of the outer buildings being, as I described, these stone-walled, castle-like buildings that are individual buildings with wooden parts and doors and things. And something that is familiar to most of you in an almost Lich Vale way. Clearly these buildings were damaged, and they have been repaired, but not in the same quality. The old stonework is really, really good, and the newer stonework is passable. It's fine. It's just a very noticeable change of difference, where there are plaques and displays on the walls. They just aren't, where it has to be replaced, and where there's different materials, different types of stone. There's a few buildings, including a shop and mostly homes and a warehouse and a tavern. Tavern is the Raven's Rest, that looks like the biggest and probably most important building in this small little... It's honestly a village. It could be a lot more, but it isn't. It reminds you of Lich Vale, and it's sort of like an empty remains of something that used to be here that has been readapted. And just looking eastwards, you see the sea. Beyond a little sort of courtyard of grasses and a little bit of wildflowers. There's a little stone area and then a wooden dock where there are a couple of different areas that go from the dock where you can see at least a ship. When you enter, there aren't many people around. There's not enough people around that people immediately go like, oh, are new people. Someone who's leaning on the sort of pillar outside the tavern looks at you while smoking a pipe. Someone who is a group of people who are carrying things down from the dock into the warehouse do nearly bump into you, but you're not given any kind of welcome. You're just sort of allowed in.
Well, this place is charming.
Yeah.
I will say everyone you've seen has been human.
Are there like any sort of like official guard wandering?
You see no one. Everyone seems to be armed. Some people seem to be armored, but no one. You never see a guard.
Okay.
Perhaps we should inquire at the tavern to see whether we can get some form of ship.
It is also quite late in the day, so you could easily stay in the tavern. And this looks like it's a fairly big tavern. It probably has rooms as well. It doesn't have a sign that some taverns do. We're just looking at the size. You know, it couldn't all be for eating.
I won't lie. I thought when we saw the ocean, it was going to be frozen. But it's not. So how do we get on a boat?
Huh?
He's asking how you get on a boat. Like, how do you do that? How do you start that process?
There are docks and gangplanks, and you would walk up one onto a boat.
I continue heading east.
You
towards
walk
the
up to the
docks.
docks. Sure.
Yeah. Unless they say something or stop us.
I mean, I just said let's go inquire in the tavern, but let him go.
Yeah, he did say he was going to ask around in the tavern, but Haven marches off.
Like, why talk to somebody with beer if they have the boat?
Because it's clearly a pirate town.
What's a pirate town?
Well, I mean,
Town run by pirates.
there's no guard. Everyone is armed. I feel at home. It is clearly a pirate town.
I don't know what that means, but can't we just get on a boat?
No, boats are owned objects. You cannot just get on a boat.
Okay. So if you owned a boat, do you live on it?
Potentially, you may live on it, or you may spend some time on it, living during a year, and other time you may spend in a establishment such as this. Motions to the
So if I go to a boat, the owner might be on it, or might not be, but I can ask where they are.
or
If
might
we
not.
go in here, there might be somebody that owns a boat, or there might not be. But most likely they just tell us, go check a boat.
But we are here, so for efficiency's sake, you would go here, then there, instead of there, then back to here.
Have you never played?
I think
Monkey
you just
Island?
want to drink alcohol. We'll go get you drunk. It's okay. And so,
Pats him on the side and walks to the door. Sure. As you walk into this tavern, like I said, it's called the Raven's Rest. It doesn't have a picture, but it does have that written fairly nicely in woodworking above the door. There's a couple of actual glass windows where it's a kind of a murky glass. That's not, and it's not dirty. It's just a sort of amberish, brownish glass color. As you enter, there's quite a large, long, not as narrow as a lot of buildings in the Bastilian, but still not a noticeably narrow in comparison in ratio room, where at the end is probably a kitchen and a bar. And there are several tables with several people. The windows at the back overlook the what's it called? Overlook the docks. And actually, there's a sort of a second level. It's a 2-level tavern where there's a raised area at the back where it also overlooks the docks. As you enter, the door doesn't sort of enter to the bar. It enters to sort of the middle. There are a lot more people in here than out there. Again, very similar, although you do notice a couple of Dragonborn in here. Every couple of them. And the bartender is an older human with a sort of long grey sort of ratty beard and grey hair, but very smart clothes. Actually, you notice that most people here have quite smart clothing. Who sort of like waves you over, and noticeably above the bar is the head of a mammoth, like mounted.
Quite impressive.
He's looking at that, not having seen a mammoth before.
Impressive trophy you have there. Me and my friends traveled all the way from Bastilian. We heard that this might be a good place to charter a ship.
Oh yes, this is a good place to get a ship when you, depending on where you're looking to go. Not many people stop in here. But first, you look weary and tired from the road. You should eat and drink, and not just to give me coin in the process. And sort of like motions to a thing where it shows like how much rooms cost and things on a little chalkboard. And it's the sort of thing, it actually will only be like 6 silver to stay here and eat here. Pretty cheap. And he sort of leans on the table a bit, and maybe he's not as old as he looks. Maybe it's just the beard that makes him look a little older. And he just sort of looks you all over and is like, "You don't all look like the sailing type." And he definitely looks at Ilrune a little longer, and almost gives her a bit of like a head nodish bow, which she follows with a similar one.
Yes, for some of us here, it will be our first time on a ship, and for others, it won't. But my friend here is looking to travel up to Velheim. Specifically, I presume she would want to head to Raven's Harbor.
That won't be a problem here. Damn near everyone in this room is from there.
There you have it. The rest of us, however, are looking to go a little bit further afield. We are heading to Tram.
Oh, that's interesting. I have seen ships pass through here heading there, but it's definitely possible. I'll tell you that there are 2 ships docked right now. One of them is one of the larger ships from Raven's Harbor, and the other one is smaller. You're probably going to have to ask them yourselves, but neither of them are leaving overnight. You can go ahead and ask your questions to them, but they won't be rushing away anytime soon.
The captains of the ship, are they regulars here? Trusted fellows?
Oh, they're both good men. Paul is a little strange, but he's foreign. You know how it is. And he keeps looking at Vale. Like, of course he's talking to Vale, but like, he's giving him a look that like he can't, like he's already seen Vale before and he's trying to remember where. The captain of the other ship is pleasant enough, but follows instructions a little too well. Over here, we are a little more renegade, ever so slightly, but don't tell people that. We like to be away from the regulations of the city and some such. You know how it is. You have the smell of the sea on you.
Mm-hmm.
So will you be needing rooms for the night? Food in your bellies?
I think a room and a nice warm meal would be very pleasant.
And I'll have some fish stew prepared for the lot of you.
I will hand over 5 silver and 7 copper and have empty pockets. If you guys accept lint, I will give that to you as well.
Bank. He's actually
it can
okay.
be belly button lint if you'd like.
He's actually okay with it. It's just like, no problem, my friend. We've all been there.
Vale's gonna hand Haven a couple of gold in case we ever get separated. You won't get very far without gold.
I look down at the 2 gold pieces and say, not sure how far I'd get with this.
Further than you would otherwise.
I'll give you a word of advice, Elf. Don't go flashing your cash around here.
I mean, it's 2 gold.
2 gold handed over so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, don't worry. I've had to earn it. Then I'm going to go sit down with what's his name? Gil, and be like, you know, if we had gone to Draken Brawl, they said there was a lot of gold there.
So yeah. as he said, that he gets you all ales. Usually, it's watered down. You buy an ale, you're buying water that isn't going to give you some kind of disease. Mm-hmm. This is actually pretty strong. This is actual beer. Not obnoxiously strong, but just
stuff is 7%.
Yeah. And then after a little bit, brings you each a wooden bowl of some sort of fish stew. Which is, actually this sort of warm food after weeks of slogging through the snow and ice is more than pleasant. It's exactly what you needed. It's actually not bad cooking. There's enough seasoning and stuff that the more snobby of you, Vale, would be able to tell the difference. Would be pleased with it. Ilrune is already off talking to other people around the room.
Well,
and seems to have no issue just walking up to these people and talking to them.
Did you catch that gent's name who was just talking to us?
No, I didn't.
Would I have seen him looking at Bailey?
Yeah, he wasn't subtle about it. Otherwise, you would have been having to insight rolls and stuff. He was just looking at Vale a lot.
You noticed he was giving you the eye, right?
Well, yes, I am a son elf. I'm not exactly common. I presumed that was the reasoning for it.
He looked like he knew you.
Yeah, it was more of a look of remembrance than interest. At least to me.
I think that perhaps he thinks he knows me, but really, what are the chances? I spent all my time on the western side of the world. He is over here on the east. It is really quite unlikely, I feel.
True.
Sun elves. You said sun elves are rare. Not many pirate sun elves. Maybe he knows not your face, but he has heard of your appearance.
Did does his look seem as though he was very unhappy to see him? Happy to see him? Like
He just
anything
looked.
more?
It was like he. You recognize someone, you can't tell where, and maybe you don't do it even deliberately or consciously, and you realize afterwards. But you're staring at him. You're staring at him, trying to work out why you know him. And actually, Haven, you felt no antagonism at all, even actually a level of concern in this man, which is strange because this is not a very heartwarming place. There's almost a little out of place emotion you regged there.
I don't think he wanted to. I don't think he wanted to kill you or anything. So I think you're safe.
That's
He
good.
didn't seem like he was angry to recognize you.
Well, that is reassuring at least. I wouldn't want to have to hurt the proprietor of such a lovely fish stew.
Do you
Though
think?
it is a little alarming that he would recognize me. As Melody says, I was not aware of any other sun elves being pirates, but I can't say many of the other fellows recognized me as a sun elf rather than a high elf.
Aren't there only like 5 of you?
I would presume that is because you struggled to count past 5. No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But he's like, well, no. I thought there was like. I thought you said less than 100.
No. That is moon elves.
But aren't you both dying?
No. Moon elves have no problem with their reproduction rate. The problem is there are so few of them that the actual production of offspring is very small. It will take a long time for their race to grow back up to the size of a comparative race. However, the problem is with the sun elves, there are still a number of us about, but our reproduction rate has gone.
But you're like the baby. So maybe he knows you because you look like a baby.
I don't exactly look like a baby.
Not like a baby, like nursing from its mother, but like the young one. You look centuries younger than the rest, right?
Not
That is a
really.
reputation in and of itself, isn't it? I said in
mean-
and of itself.
I mean, surely you are aware of how elves age. Some of my peers are 300 years older than me and look perhaps a couple of years older. Others are 200 years older than me and look 300 years older.
To a human eye, but not to an elven eye, right?
Yes.
Maybe
to
he has a
elven eye.
trained eye.
It depends upon the experiences that an elf has had during their life.
You know what? This is ruining the conversation and fun we could be having over a meal. Just go ask him.
No. You said he doesn't mean me harm. What if he recognizes me, or I say, "Oh, hello, I am a son elf pirate." He recognizes me and means me harm.
I think I turned to Melody and Gil and be like, didn't he recognize him?
Seemed like that, yeah.
When Vale seems to be stubborn, I just kind of like shrug and drop the point.
Maybe we will ask in the morning. Hmm? When there's less risk of having our throats slit.
Right.
Sorry, what was that?
Exactly what you were saying, basically. When you can't get stabbed in the night.
Exactly.
Melody's learning.
She's
My
learning
influence is
pirate.
rubbed off.
So your plan is to just sort of eat, sleep, wake up, see what you want to do in the morning?
I think so.
Cool.
We need to speak to Paul and that other captain in the morning.
Yeah.
Good old Paul.
Good old Paul.
He's a bit weird though. He's from out of town.
Yeah. Great. So you do sleep here. Some of the rooms are upstairs. Some of the rooms are just sort of behind the bar. I assume all of you have your own separate rooms. They're fine. They're pleasant enough.
I would just need my room to be adjacent to Gil's rather than that.
Yeah, that's
I
you
don't
could
care.
easily arrange that. They wouldn't even trouble that. You sleep fine. It's actually one of those places where, to people who haven't slept so close to the sea, it's very loud. It's not the same loud noise as just being in a city, like to Gilwyn. And Gilwyn has lived near the sea, but not near the sea. Not beside the sea.
Sleep holding a dagger.
There's, sure. There's you have the sound of seagulls, you have the constant sound of the sea, not to mention the howling winds that come from the sea. This building creaks and groans with every strong wind. To Vale, it's actually very pleasant. To Vale, this is I can't say homely, but it feels like home. But all of you do wake up. No one is stabbed in the night.
Phew.
First plot point over.
Of course. When you wake up in the morning and travel into the main room, this is not the kind of place where they present breakfast to you. But if you ask, there is a bowl of porridge, like a vat of porridge.
Yeah,
that
sure,
you can
I'll
get
have
a
it.
bowl from, which is, enough to feed you for the day. And again, the bartender is just looking at Vale, but actually looks like Haven. He's figured it out.
Could I have a bowl of your porridge, please?
Yeah, of course.
And my friends mentioned that you have been looking at me for a while.
Oh, yes. Well, you're one of them solar elves, right?
I'm surprised you know.
A bunch of them came through, and when this place was set up, it was during the siege of Drakenbrow. The orcs blew this place up on the way, and it was sort of a lot of people hiding went here. Our ship crashed here. We set it back up into a place. I've not spent all of the 5 years here, but very soon after the siege, when we were just living here, trying to survive, a group of sun elves came here. Apparently there was more of them, but they were badly injured from battle, and they came here to rest and recover. And you look... this might be rude. You look just like one of the women.
That's nice.
What were they fighting?
They were here to fight the orcs. They said that they Drakenbrow called for aid, and they came here with them winged horses, and they got into a big fight. And some of the survivors came back here, bandaged their wounds, stayed for a night to try and get some rest, and then they head back up north. I remember they said that they couldn't destroy the whole horde, so they were going to destroy their ships. And there was a natural rocky ravine that they were docked the orcish ships at, and that's where they were heading on going. The last few of the Sun Elves that were there with him, and you wouldn't believe the armor they wore. It was right out of a book, and the horses and the weapons and the healing magic. They never returned.
Can you mark on the map where these orcish ships were? The ravine?
Yeah, when you Gesundheit. When you show your do you give the map with Tron that's like a little more closer detail of this sort of area? Or your map? It doesn't matter. I was just asking.
Yeah, this map.
He marks it, and it's basically along the coast. If you travel up the coast for a couple of days, and like he said, there's a natural sort of ravine point. That actually, your pirate instincts tell you that's a great place to hide some boats.
That would explain why there was such a large host of orcs near Drakenbrow. They were never able to leave because their ships were destroyed.
They've never gone. I think the plan... I don't like to think that orcs can plan, but if they can... I think they intended to leave, but they destroyed the ships so that they could never leave, get reinforcements so that they could be destroyed here. It's just that it didn't happen. Downside is now we're stuck with them, and they're pretty strong. There was something happening in the city that stopped them for a time, and they don't cause a lot of trouble. It's only ever a few of them. But the Sun Elves never returned. They went down that way and never came back. And the one of them just looked just like you, but the woman in full armor, sword, shield.
Did you catch her name?
No, they were not giving names. Member of the Solar Guard, High Thundrol.
Yes, yes.
Talking about the sun.
The woman, her eye color, was it the same as mine? The sort of lilac?
Yeah. Did you look... You could be her. Which... Like, he makes a face like, am I being offensive?
Thank you for telling me this, my friend. I appreciate it.
I thought it was the sort of thing I was going to come to you today if I saw you that you would have liked to know.
Ver's gonna clasp his hand firmly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Then head back to the table where the others are, with his porridge in one hand and the map in the other.
So did he recognize you?
He said that the detachment of the Solar Guard had come through here some years back. During the Drakenbrow crisis, they went north to this point here, and he motions on the map, and they destroyed the Orc ships. That's why they're still here. They came on Pegasi. It is not common. They only come on that when the need is great. Apparently there was a Sun Elf that looked just like me, but a female. Down to the same eye color. I fear it may have been my mother. She was a member of the Solar Guard, wielded a sword and shield, and I have her eye color, so...
Whoa.
Apparently they never returned from destroying the ships.
I'm sure she's fine.
She's probably dead, Gil. I appreciate the concern, but I imagine she is shot down over those dark waters and now lies at the bottom of the sea,
Or we could head north and check the shores. Perhaps it's not too late for burial. Or maybe she's not dead.
Why are we talking about burials?
If
Well-
she is, you bury her. If she's not, then you find out.
I mean, we are going to Tran for your mother. I understand that we could come on the way back. It has been a long time waiting.
No. We're going to Tran for me, really, more than my mum.
Are you sure? If what Haven says is true, and she is alive, then I must make some attempt to rescue her. Imagine, perhaps that is why the orcs were not in the city. The Sun Elves, they made a desperate flight from the ships and managed to hole up in the city. Maybe they're all alive.
Yes.
Very like see like it's somewhere between hope and desperation that he's clutching at. Maybe that's why they were fortified on that side.
It must be.
Yes.
I think your mum is in Drakenpralville.
Perhaps you were right, Haven. Perhaps our path leads us to Drakenbrow after all.
Look, this thing, and I take the safe out. This can wait.
Are you sure?
Vale, it's your mum. Maybe. Based on one guy's identification of eyeballs. It's better than a safe that will always be here. At least I've got this. And I tap the necklace. It's more than I did have.
If you are sure, then that would be amazing.
If these guys don't mind walking towards a large band of orcs.
Sounds awesome.
Apparently that is all Haven has been wanting to do for the past few weeks. He's suicidal, this one.
But
My
then,
mom's dead. It'd be nice to see someone's alive.
Melody will follow Vale and Gil. for
and
now.
I look at Amelia and will a college...
Yeah, I don't know. Melody, Amelia might hate moms.
Amelia's emotion. Amelia is sitting out of this one.
Oh, she had a tummy ache.
Yeah, I'm trying not to like spill beans. So I'll
No
just-
butterbeer today.
Amelia is planning to stay here. If you can, basically Amelia's suggestion is if you can do this quickly, then great.
She can start the prep on a ship.
Yeah, maybe. She has a lot of research to do. And she like motions to like the Book of Illusions and things. No matter what, pays to be prepared.
And if not, you're
if
a
she
great,
has a
powerful
if you
wizard.
do take
can
too
join
long,
us.
she'll be able to try and. Ilrun's like, Ilrun's not here, and probably also not coming with you.
Yeah, I mean, we were delivering Ilrun here.
Exactly, Ilrun can get a ship here. She's in the process of trying to get one.
Well,
Did she go to the docks?
You don't know. You don't see her.
fuck you. um, well, looks at non-existent watch. Looks out the window at the sun.
That's what you got to do. It's olden
should
times.
we-
Maybe that's how it works. Maybe it's that the shade reflects off of your son's skin. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, it's definitely.
Yeah, that's why there's so few of us. We're flayed and put on people's walls.
Yeah, the only way to tell the time. Such a shame.
It's a sun.
Sundial.
Solar panels.
Hey.
Oh god, that's even better. That's better than mine. Yeah.
Yeah, we create magical energy when in the sun. We kind of do actually with Bless, but perhaps we could meet back in just before midday. Everybody pack, get everything they need. I'll make sure Ilrun is on her way, or at least going to be on her way. She'll have Amelia to keep her company. I'm sure they'll both love that one.
So I don't have much gold. I hold up the 2 gold that he just gave me. Is that enough to buy a pole for catching fish?
Yes.
Maybe.
Probably.
I'm going to give you another 5 gold then. You just agreed to help me find my mum.
Let me look. It's a valid question. I don't know. I know. I've probably looked up.
I imagine it's super cheap.
I bet they're like
must be.
2 silver.
They're in here. I just don't remember what they are. I'm willing to bet it's low silvers.
Fish and tackle, 5e compendium,
1 gold.
1 gold. There you go. I buy
not
2
ve-
then.
not
What?
very
It's the
cheap.
5 gold left over.
Dual wield.
No, you know what? Maybe I want to spend some quality time with Melly and I just sitting there, sipping beer, silently fishing.
And then Melody just turns into a bear and catches a fish like that.
On a boat? That'd be pretty cool.
I can turn into a squid now. I have
Oh,
water
that's
breathing.
What kind of damage does a fishing pole do?
1, but it's got reach.
Ooh, ooh.
All you need is 1 damage to the eye.
Yeah. Although get it caught in the cheek. Oh, that hurts.
Oh, you don't fish people.
What? How else would you attack with a fishing pole?
Hit him with the butt.
That's just a stick.
That's called grinding.
Bill, should we not set off as soon as possible?
We're going.
All right,
And
so
thus
let's go
it's
find
been
a captain that wants to go fight orcs.
No, I
we
don't. I
need
think
to
his
fight.
plan is to go mainland, down the
Yes,
coast.
even better.
Yeah.
We're trudging up along the coast. Have fun.
That means it's a mountainous. It's a mountainous region.
It is a
Yes,
mountainous
we are
area. It's a mountainous
Yes.
coastline. Yeah, for
Yes. Sleeping in caves. I'm gonna be a happy boy.
sure.
Before
Yeah.
we go, can I get a spyglass, please?
Yeah.
Are those still 1,000 gold?
They're very expensive.
100.
They're very expensive, but this is
They're
a place where you could buy them.
1,003.
No, they're not 1,000. They're
They
like
are expensive. They might
No, I'm
not be
saying
1,000.
3e they're
expensive.
1,000.
Oh,
I don't
oh,
know
oh.
about 5e.
I think they're like 100.
100, 100, 100.
I'm looking. I just put the book down.
I mean, let's be honest, it'd be ridiculous.
It's 1,000.
Seriously.
You need to
Because
like.
it allows
have
you to
the-
make perception checks far away.
They're pretty hard, and it's sort of thing. If you have it, why do you have a spyglass? Because you have a ship. A ship is already tens of thousands of gold.
I know, but like, if you compare it to like a full set of plate mail,
Yeah.
It's less expensive than a full set of plate mail.
Do you do rentals?
you're like in the sailing shop with like a dude with one eye, and he's like, no.
I'm sorry, but
It
abusive
says
Naga has an
1,000 gold
opinion.
pieces in the ledger.
Excuse me. Abusive Naga says that you can get a 5-finger discount.
I mean, that's true.
I mean, it is a pirate town. People, well, I can't.
There's a
blame you
pirate
trying.
code, and these are not just guidelines. And he actually, these guys aren't actually pirates. So you just get shot down more. But, if you want to steal a spyglass, apparently I'm just radiant like Jesus today. If you want to steal a spyglass, you totally can.
I think the light was behind Jesus, not from his flesh.
I choose to disagree.
I was about to make a really inappropriate joke there.
Please don't. Sure. I take it you're not buying the spyglass, Gilwin.
I'm gonna get frustrated and push over a box of maggots and walk out.
Ah!
You realise how difficult that is to pick all them up and they wiggle everywhere? Oh.
I hold up 5 gold and say, "How close is this to 1,000?"
Not.
Not to you, to the shopkeeper.
Oh,
You take your scrubbing boy with you. He says to Gilwin.
Haven, come on. It's fine.
You're a scrubbing boy. Oh, look at that face. The one insult that affects Scott. Scrubbing boy.
Well, I don't want no scrubbing.
Right.
How many days travel is it?
A couple?
A couple. It's one of those things where from you're traveling back and forth. You sort of think it might be only. Let me start this all again.
Please.
You
Take a
could. There are orcs. I did even worse. There are orcs between here and there. Of course, it's the sort of thing where you could take routes to deliberately avoid them if you so wish.
There
You
are
could
orcs.
choose to fight them instead.
You could. There are orcs.
Stop bullying me! So it's one of those things you could just purely take the coastlines. That might have its own dangers. It might also have orcs. You don't know that for a fact. If you take a little bit more of a mainland route, it's rocky areas. Still probably gonna have orcs. But it's one of those things. If you slow down, you can probably sneak past or find areas where they aren't around. That sort of thing.
I vote coast.
First.
Melody has no strong opinion. Not in so many words.
I like traveling the coast because there'll be mountains nearby, but I'm not familiar with the ocean. Will the tide be a concern if there's a storm? Will we be that close that it could affect us?
If there is a storm coming, most of the time we would be able to see it from the distance, and hopefully we will be able to move far enough away that we wouldn't get splashed too much.
We can take to the caves at that time.
Not
Looking
low caves though, high caves.
looking far distances in daytime burns my eyes, so we'll have to rely on you for that.
Does it really?
It's very uncomfortable.
Mm. But it's quite interesting, actually.
Well, come on. Bill, it's your mum.
Right. Should we go? I mean, I've not said bye to Amelia, but
I pick up my pack.
yes, I agree, Haven. Let's.
Something tells me
let's go.
Amelia's not quite herself. Looks at camera.
Laugh track. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Honestly, I kind of prefer her this way.
She's in chat.
Without her, you nearly went and killed a bunch of orcs. Just a
I
whole
know!
bunch.
She's gone for like an hour and a half, and we are going completely the opposite direction of what we intended.
It's the only time I can get you to do side missions is when there's no Aaron.
Listen, I tried. I was like, I'll get you spells. And you guys are like, no. Erin will be mad when she gets back. I'm like, those spells are for her. No, I don't want to make Erin mad.
You don't understand. We've been forced into this now. We know our place.
Yeah.
Erin was away for a bit.
They know
and
to
she was like-
behave.
and then she came back and she was like, "You guys have let me down." And we're like, "Sorry."
She's like, you got me 2 new wizard tomes? 2? You think that was worth not completing the plot?
So,
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
while tangenting from the plot, you aim to sort of travel along the coastlines more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Grand. All right, and you head off. Were you about to say something, Gilwin, or were you just making a face?
I was doing faces.
Okay. I mean, at this point, you know, I got to ask. Sometimes a face leads to conversation, but sometimes a face is just a farce. So, you start heading off.
Up the coast we travel far, along the mountains in search for his ma.
Yeah, you know what?
Is she alive or is she dead? I don't know. I'm Haven. I'm dumb.
How was that, Gil? Thought it was pretty
it
good.
Is it good?
That was okay.
Hold on. Wait. And I'm wasting time.
That wasn't okay.
Yeah.
It was a
something
lot
like
more out of tune in reality while you're traveling. So, you're starting to rock out along the coastlines. That's not much of a problem. They do have a little bit of a wall and a gate, sort of coastal way. They have something that's actually called a groin, where it's almost like a wall that goes down into the water a little bit to sort of just show, like, okay, this is where the edge of the town. They are called groins, but that's not exactly their usage. And you start heading out. The coasts are not exactly land anyone other than Vale has explored before. You know, walking along them is treacherous. But luckily, these are sort of icy coasts where often you're probably trying to stick to rock, and there's nothing in the way of rocky paths to travel on.
These are icy coasts.
So there's more slippery and more snowy, but there is a thick layer of ice instead of you like falling and drowning and like crunching your body. You have almost a second safety net of the ice, although all of you are aware that you don't really want to travel on the ice that much. And it's the sort of thing where there is almost a couple of feet of ice from the actual like coastline at all times, and then most of the time it's sort of broken up chunks as well. It's not one constant.
We should have bought like toboggans and like penguined it on our bellies.
You could have bought like rowboats and like rowed the whole way.
But that's slow. And on a coast is really tough because you're constantly.
You'd have to like loop out and back in. Maybe I just want to see Scott pretend to row. I don't know.
You want him to work up a sweat.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's the whole. What? So it's one of those things. Definitely give me your. It's very hard to try and recover when you guys tangent so hard to actual content.
It's because Aaron's not here.
It's because Aaron's not here, who actually tries.
The seal has been lifted.
Haven, Haven, give me a survival roll to lead the party through. That's pretty good. Awesome. So, like I said, traveling is not the easiest, but you are all... You've all traveled the world for quite some time now, one way or another. You're all very talented one way or another, no matter what the mean words of Vale would lead you to believe. And plus, Vale is filled with determination. Like I said, there's nothing much on the way of civilization on these coasts. You are just traveling across those sort of stone, pebbly, shingly beaches and areas where there are rocky outcroppings and
Lots
icy
of rock
snowy
pools
areas.
here.
Lots of rock pools, yeah, for sure.
We're eating crab tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely that because Haven does gather, or Haven and All Melody, probably both, gather food as they travel.
His entire arm into this big rock pool and comes out and there's like a crab attached on and an octopus eating his hand. And he's like, look,
food. But that's actually what happens is that you can during a couple of days of travel you can fend off the earth. You can grab crabs, all that sort of thing. And actually, the couple of hours away from the camp, you do find a couple of like what do they call it? Like crabbing cages, crab pots, there's something like that. From the town probably. But so the first night of camping, not much of a problem. It would be a problem for someone else. Maybe you'd have to go a lot slower. And one thing's for certain, staying this side of the sort of rocky mountains, you're not dealing with orcs, which is pleasant, even if some of you want to deal with orcs.
Really? Not even like stray orcs or anything like that? That's sweet.
Not in your first day of travel. In the first day of travel, you're almost shielded by like a rocky by a mountain to your left. And then in your second day of travel, you do get to places where you can see the orcish camps on the other side. And actually, one of those things you see from a raised precipice, you can see that there's this orc camp that is inset lower, in almost like a crater in the earth, and it's still snowy and frozen. And there are these wooden almost platforms, and actually like zip lines going between them. For the traveling of goods and things, it seems a little advanced for the orcs that you've seen. But you do pass alongside this orcish camp, but you're far enough away, high enough up, traveling slow enough, traveling smart enough, for you don't cause any trouble. Unless, of course, you want to cause trouble.
No, before it was about like a little bit of adventure and
now you've got a purpose,
learning.
So you don't want to just randomly fight orcs. Of course, you've got a set goal, you've got a map. And it's not the easiest map to follow. It's definitely one of those things when Vale is trying to follow via the map. that you realize that this map is not really very accurate to this area at all, but how could he be? Like, this is an extremely weathered area where probably like large chunks of rock fall all the time, and then land and make small little islands and things like that. It is impossible to have an accurate map, and you don't even know how old this map you have is, you know, or the cartography of it anyway. As you can continue to travel, you do find food is not a problem. As you go more into the mountainous areas, Haven can grab the right kinds of mushrooms, even dip into a cavern for a little bit, pick up enough mushrooms. You probably even camp in a cave because
Vale
you
goes
feel
in
more comfortable there.
Vale. Haven goes in a cave and comes out with like these disgusting pale fish, and we're all like, "Oh gods!" And he's like, "No, they're really good."
Thought you were about to say that Haven goes into a cave, comes out of a bear on his arm this time.
Oh, look, food.
Dinner.
We just got married. His name's Chris.
Got about the same intelligence. So.
At some point, you even actually find an abandoned...
Oh, wrong bear.
An abandoned little cabin. Little wood cabin on a like slightly flattened area of plateau. But there's nothing left there, if there was anything left.
We could camp in there for a night.
You totally could, actually, if you wanted.
Nice place to be out of the weather.
It is... It's old, but it is definitely secure enough. And the weather has not been that bad. There's been snow, and there's always wind from the coast.
That's the thing. I imagine on the coast, the worst thing is, it's winter with a constant
cold wind. So it's bad, but it's not actually that bad for you guys. But it's definitely, that would be a good... It's really your choice whether you want to sort of camp in Haven's Caverns or this little cabin. It's pretty small, but then there's only 4 of you traveling around, plus Tune. So...
Isn't aren't coastal winds in the wintertime warmer than
I don't know.
I think
they feel cold every time to me.
It probably depends on where the wind is coming from.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
My ass.
Either way, so I'm obviously down. I always go camp wherever Melody thinks is best because Haven's quick over travel. She's always best for setup and breakdown overnight stuff. So
it's true. You got a system at this point.
Mm-hmm. So Melody, what do you think? Hey, Melody, do you want to sleep here? You want to sleep there, or where would you like to sleep?
Do you want to sleep anywhere?
Do you want to sleep?
Both would serve well.
Everyone looks at Melody with disappointment.
I must be honest, I was only half listening to.
Yeah, I know. I think that's why he asked you the question, just to throw you the ball, you know.
Yeah. Well, I as such, I cannot give a proper opinion.
Oh. Cave or house?
Oh. Well, I say we go in the cave. Caves are way more comfortable.
Melody would vote cave.
Awesome. The cave is with you guys, high level camping. Maybe you scare a couple of kobolds out from deeper in the cave, so you have a safer place to nestle up.
Wait a minute, we scare away food?
I'm not going to eat that.
Like, Bale's like, what?
Grab more of those fish. This is dinner. This is delicious.
Okay, we'll let Haven do dinner with the blind cave fish.
You know, it's probably...
Like
I like how you say, we'll let Haven do dinner. Haven's probably been preparing dinner for the last month, and Vale just keeps complaining about it, and everyone else is like, this is so much better than Vale's cooking.
All right, fine. We're going to do something different. So I'm going to make them sashimi.
Yeah, that's very drow.
That is true.
What do I roll? Is that a nature check? What do I roll?
That's a cooking roll. But survival makes sense for you.
I don't have another advantage. Maybe I should be cooking.
Yeah, I kind of totally abandoned that system anyway. Grand. Yeah, you prepare sashimi, which is just raw fish cut correctly and seasoned, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, not really even seasoned. It's just cut correctly, like you say, with the fiber of the fish.
Is there anything citrusy around that I can use to complement it?
I imagine
a citrusy mushroom.
Maybe a citrusy like lichen or something.
Where did you
Yeah.
learn this?
Served on seaweed.
Served on seaweed. It was
Yeah,
meant to
it's-
be.
MSG is natural in seaweed. There we go. Yeah, full-bodied and hardy.
Haven, this is surprisingly good. Where did you learn this?
Oh, it was eat like this or starve.
I see. I didn't realize they had seaweed down in the Underdark. It is an inspired combination.
It was weed and sometimes stuff from the sea. I didn't learn this one until actually I met Gil's father.
Underdark original.
Yeah, I don't like this.
You were just rubbing your stomach and smacking your lips and saying this was delicious. She was more delicious than that dame from what was that? What was that town?
That dame.
It's a drow word. They're very Asian culture, but they also say dame.
Yeah. We sleep.
Great. I thought you were talking more. So, camping out again. A lot of this is leeway because you're high level, which is great actually. Or not leeway. It's that you don't need to do rolls that would stumble up lower level people. As you continue on the next day, it's a little different. The first day was traveling sort of truly on the coastal ridge. The second day you traveled a little bit further up the mountain way because you didn't need to and it was actually safer, and with Haven as your guide, far faster. The third day you're going a little lower. It's less so much a mountain at this point and more like rocky plateaus and rocky areas. And you start to notice the occasional body that just looks weird. And in this sort of cold, like Scott said earlier, they are preserved pretty well. You notice first an orc, and don't even think about it. It's not a concern. In fact, you're surprised that you're finding dead orcs, not living orcs on this area, although you're by no means traveling on an actual road. Second of all, you find, another orc. Not that weird. Then a human who's frozen down here. Oh, that's strange. Wearing sort of vaguely similar clothes to those people in that town. They all had a sort of similar fashion sense. Then some dragonborn of various colors, wearing the arms and armor, wearing very similar arms and armor of all dead, all frozen. Sort of just as you're going down the path, you just find them more and more, and you find these strange stone idols that they're sort of almost leaning up against a lot of the time. Like they've been dragging or building something or something. It's very hard to piece together what's happening here, the scenes you're sort of coming across. And I imagine you don't even linger for that long when you see this, because Haven's aware that, when you're traveling, you see dead people occasionally. Now, up in the mountains, it's a little more common, I suppose. But in the Underdark, it's also pretty common. It's when it starts to become... When you see that fourth or fifth body in so soon, you're like, okay, this is unsettling now. Anyone...
So they're all up against,
Not all of them. It's just that, the last couple have been up against... You're on this sort of rocky, cliffy route. You're going still along the coast, but where you well, you're not going along across. You're going across a sort of a rocky passage that would be best. Below you is sort of jagged and sharp rocks. It would just be so slow to travel through, even with Haven. Well, Haven is the reason why you're traveling faster is Haven's like, no, we're not traveling that way. That's stupid. The last couple have been leaning up against these. Either they're idols or carved stone, or maybe they carved stone that's already there.
Perhaps a totem.
Sort of a totem-y type thing, yeah.
Melody will go up to one of the bodies and give it a poke, see if she can work out how long it's been dead. Although, given the
Give
icy conditions, it's probably
Me a
unlikely.
medicine roll.
I'll give you something.
It's been here for a couple of years, actually. 2 years or so. But you notice something about it, which isn't that strange. It's missing its eye. It's this dragonborn you're looking at. And then you notice, then you think back that every single one of these has been missing one of their eyes. And that very much unsettles you. Sort of a thing where maybe some of them were on their face, so you didn't tell. You roll over one of the orcs. It's missing one of its eyes. And you have no idea what that means.
This is me and Neil nodding
And
at each other.
Oh, we all saw that.
as Ian
There's
and
an
Neil,
inside joke.
as
you don't
Ian
get
and
it.
Neil are like,
I'm
oh
on that
no, we're gonna we're gonna
Bad
take a,
stuff is
we're
about
gonna
to
take a
happen.
break. See you in a bit.
side. I'll see you.
Ha!